Okay, our next speaker has a video introduction, so I'm going to go ahead and play that.
The UAE government wanted to inspire Emirati youth to go into STEM and wanted to create a disruptive change in the mindset when it comes to science and technology. On top of that, it wanted to use the mission as a catalyst for development within different sectors that would serve the creation of a competitive, creative, and innovative knowledge-based economy. So it's about the future of the UAE.
عشرة 9 8 7 6 5 4 3 2 1 إطلاق.
Omran Sharaf, who is the project manager of the UAE Hope Mission. Welcome to the conference, Omran.
Thank you, James, and thank you for having me here. It's such an honor. So today I would like to share with you a very brief story about the Emirates Mars mission and the purposes and the objectives behind the mission, and why this mission is very unique and slightly different than the usual traditional deep space or outer space exploration missions that we're used to. The story of the Emirates Mars mission started in end of 2013, even though the government announced that we'll be sending a mission to Mars in summer of 2014. But before that, basically, a meeting took place between us and the stakeholders, the team at the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center, in which different set of objectives were given to the team. The first objective was basically, we'd like to reach Mars before the 2nd of December, 2021, which is the 50th anniversary of the establishment of the UAE. And there's a deep meaning behind that objective, and we can split it into two ways. The first aspect of it is about inspiring, as was shown in the video, Emirati youth to go into STEM, to use it as a means to embed or to develop the R&D oriented culture in the UAE as part of the government efforts in establishing the ecosystem for the science and technology sector in the UAE to serve our economy, to have a more competitive and innovative economy, and at the same time to address national challenges, especially when it comes to environmental challenges. We live in a very harsh geographical area with very limited food and water resources, and the government believes that through our scientists and our engineers, we'll have to be able to tackle some of these issues that we're facing and we might be facing in the future. So they looked at space as a means to develop these capabilities. Why? Because space sets high standards for technology, sets high standards for innovation, and also sets high standards for the industry. And to be able to develop something that's capable to deal with this harsh environment, then space is a tool for that. And the Emirates Mars mission is a tool for that. And to be able to reach that point, we definitely need to inspire the future generation to go into STEM. In the past 50 years, the government invested a lot in preparing engineers. However, scientists had very limited job and career opportunities. So through the Emirates Mars mission, the government wanted to create a career path for the scientists the same way that engineers had. Why? Because the scientists are the ones who come up with the new discoveries, and the engineers take those discoveries and convert them into products. So they basically complement each other. And this was even basically one of the tasks that the team was assigned to do, is to inspire, to encourage. Since the announcement of the mission, we saw students shifting majors from international relations, finance, going into sciences. Universities that didn't have science programs started science programs. Because of the mission, there was a federal entity established. The UAE Space Agency was established because of the Emirates Mars mission. The UAE Council of Scientists, or the UAE Science Council, was established because of the Emirates Mars mission. The Ministry of Advanced Technology, the Ministry of Advanced Science, the Ministry of Industry was one of the byproducts of the Emirates Mars mission. And team members who worked on the mission were assigned in key leadership positions in these different entities and initiatives that were kind of the spillovers of the Emirates Mars mission. The other side of the 2nd of December, why the UAE was cared about that, is also to inspire the Arab youth to go into STEM, to focus on building their nations. A region that more than 800 years ago used to be a generator of knowledge, a region that had people from different backgrounds, different faiths living together, building the region, has a rich history of contributing to humanity by bringing new knowledge. The moment we stopped generating new knowledge, the moment we stopped as a region accepting differences and coexistence, we started moving backwards. So the message that the UAE government would like to send to the Arab youth and to the countries in the region is that a young nation like the UAE that has more than 200 nationalities living in it, everyone contributed in building the nation. Everyone contributed in putting the UAE's name around Mars. People from different backgrounds lived here. And basically 90% of the population of the UAE are non-Emiratis. So if we're able to reach Mars in less than 50 years, then given your history as a region, given the potential of the Arab youth, there's more than 100 million youth in the region, we can do much more. If we accept differences, if we accept coexistence and working with people from different backgrounds and accepting the different cultures and values that come with different cultures. So that's the message that the UAE would like to send to the Arab youth through that requirement. The second requirement that the Prime Minister gave us actually was that he said, build it, don't buy it. So he said, don't start from scratch, learn from others. Other nations might have looked at space exploration as a space race. We don't look at it as a space race. We look at it as a space collaboration. And this is one of the main reasons why we were able to deliver the mission with half the time frame that usually requires nations to develop such missions, which took us only 6 years to deliver the mission, and with a very limited budget. Because we didn't start from scratch, we worked with others, we learned from others. And this is the model that the UAE would like to share with the rest of the world through the Emirates Mars mission, of a different way of conducting such missions. And the third requirement he gave us, he said, this mission is not about space, it's a tool, space and Mars is a tool for a much bigger objective, which is basically to build our science and technology sector. And you as a team, your job is not only to deliver a mission around Mars, but your job is actually to build that ecosystem and to inspire the youth and to inspire the whole nation and to create a disruptive change in all critical sectors that is needed for us to be able to have an advanced science technology sector that will serve our economy in the future and address our national challenges here. At the same time, position the UAE in a way that's able to give back to humanity, give back to the rest of the world by bringing new knowledge to the scientists. And one thing he said also that basically the science has to be novel, something that's not been done before, something that's unique, something that basically will serve us as humans. So these are the requirements that set kind of the roadmap or the pillars for the Emirates Mars mission. Through the mission, basically, our main objective was to study the Martian atmosphere, So for the first time, the scientists around the world are able to get a holistic view of the Martian atmosphere at different times of the day, at different seasons. We're studying the relationship between the lower layer and the upper layer of the atmosphere and the escape rate of the hydrogen and oxygen. We're using 3 scientific instruments for that. We have a visible camera with scientific applications, and we have an infrared spectrometer and also an ultraviolet spectrograph. All of them collect data around Mars and send it back to Earth. The spacecraft is about, without the fuel, was about 700 kgs. With the fuel, it was, when we launched it, it was about 1.3 tons, which is 1350 kgs, with the height of about 2.5 meters, and with the solar panels deployed about 8 meters in width. The mission took us 7 months. It was launched in July 2020 during the pandemic, which was a very big challenge for us. As a mission, it was very difficult. It's the first time the UAE sends a mission to Mars, to deep space. For us, it's our first outer space exploration mission. And for Arab nation also, it's the first nation that actually took that approach to send a mission to study another planet. So there was a big challenge. We had no experience. Our knowledge transfer partners were basically University of Colorado at Boulder, our main partners, and also Arizona State University, who worked with us on instruments and also in science, and also University of California, Berkeley. About 450 people worked in the mission. From those 450 people were 200 Emiratis, 150 from our knowledge transfer partners in the US universities, and about 100 subcontractors. All of us worked as one team, as the Emirates Mars mission team, as the Hope Probe team, not as the Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center, not as the UAE Space Agency, not as the University of Colorado Boulder or Arizona State University. We had one identity, and this is one of the reasons why the team was able to deliver that mission with the challenges that we had. We had a very limited budget. The mission had to be delivered for $200 million. We had Emiratis reporting to US personnel in universities. We had people from the US universities reporting to Emiratis. So we had that one identity, one team that was crucial in ensuring the success of the knowledge transfer program. And this was a big part of it. And I'm very pleased to say that starting the 1st of October, which was 2 weeks ago, we released our first set of data for everyone, and we'll be releasing those set of data every 3 months for all the scientists around the world to use and come up with their studies and come up with new discoveries about Mars. And one thing about the Mars mission was basically it was key for the government in the sense that it was a major effort in bringing knowledge from outside into the UAE. So it was about gaining knowledge. Even though the UAE space program actually started in 2006, we've been working on knowledge transfer programs in which we worked with South Korea. I was based in South Korea for 7 years, working on Earth observation missions, DubaiSat-1, DubaiSat-2, KhalifaSat. And then with the Mars mission was basically that final kind of an examination for bringing advanced knowledge to the UAE, to build our science base and our scientists. And at the same time, now basically about a few weeks ago, less than 2 weeks ago actually, the UAE announced that we'll be sending a mission to Venus as a flyby, and then to study the asteroid belt, in which we'll be exploring 7 asteroids and hopefully landing on the last asteroid that we'll be exploring. So that's the next phase. And in that mission, basically, the difference is all the previous missions that we worked on was focused on bringing knowledge to the UAE. Now our job is to take that knowledge that we gained and give it to the private sector in the UAE, to the industry, to the Emirati startups or UAE-based startups, and SMEs, small medium businesses in the UAE. So it's a new phase and a critical phase in the UAE space program, because that's going to be one of the biggest challenges. How can we ensure that the knowledge that we've gained through the Emirates Mars mission and the previous missions is properly given to our private sector again? Because ultimately this is about serving our economy. It's about serving or addressing our national challenges when it comes to environmental challenges, and taking a lead in that sense. Our economy depends a lot on technology, and 90% of that technology is important. The way we address our national challenges when it comes to food security or water security, we use imported technologies. But at the end of the day, these technologies are usually built for something that is, in a different part of the world. But we need to be able to build customized kind of technologies or solutions that serves us and based on our environment. So this will be the focus of the next phase of the UAE space program. With that, I would like to open the floor for any questions or any discussions that the audience and the participants have.
Absolutely. Thank you, Omran. Lyra, do we have any questions?
Absolutely. We got a bunch of questions. Thank you, Mr. Sharaf. Let me find. So the first question comes from Ron, and they're asking, Omran Sharaf, do you think we will see more international cooperation in space? I truly believe we will only get to Mars in the next 10 years together.
Definitely. And this is one of the models that the UAE wanted to do, is basically to encourage transparency between nations in outer space exploration missions and get them closer and work together. And the Emirates Mars mission, for example, the approach that we took, because of the limited time frame we had and the limited budget, instead of, let's say, building full-on facilities in the UAE to do full-on environmental testing, we decided to rent facilities abroad, which existed and has been set up for a long time ago. It made more sense to use the budget, that we have in renting these facilities rather than building a whole new facility that will cost us a lot of money to build and then a lot of money to maintain. When it came to actually expediting the knowledge share and building capacity and capability, the reason why we're able to do it, again, because we didn't start from scratch. When it comes to our command and control, for example, the command and control of the spacecraft that takes place from the UAE here in Dubai. However, we didn't build our own deep space networks. We're using the DSN networks that are spread around the world, and we just basically connected it to our command and control room in the UAE and to use these networks. So it's about being more cost effective and more efficient in conducting such missions. And we'd like nations to learn from us, to see this example that the UAE took, rather than building everything from scratch on its own and taking longer time, longer duration. We're able to actually achieve quite significant good results by collaborating in a much shorter time frame.
Thank you. So the next question comes from Amar, and Amar is asking, could you say that Saudi Arabia, with its desert conditions, could be a good test bed to develop agricultural techniques that could be utilized in Mars?
So, I mean, okay, Mars is I think it's quite challenging as an environment in Mars, but then we cannot really compare what we have here on Earth exactly as what is there in Mars, because again, the atmosphere there is very different than the atmosphere on Earth. The soil over there is very different. So I think it's difficult just to assume that just because Mars is mainly a desert, that it will resemble the desert here on Earth. It is quite challenging to send someone to Mars to try to live in that harsh environment. And obviously, if we're able to make a human live on Mars one day and to plant things there, then hopefully that knowledge could be used to find similar solutions on Earth. But it's very difficult. It's different set of challenges. So we cannot just assume that, I mean, by developing things here that work on Earth will work on Mars. We cannot just assume things that was going to work on Mars, it's going to work on Earth. But it's more about that knowledge. It's about building those skills of finding solutions for problems. This is what we are interested in, and this is what we want to focus on, and putting that kind of a standard, a high level of standard, because space standard is considered the highest standards in the industry. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, thank you. The next question. So the next question comes from Aaron, and they're asking, how can I chat further with the UAE space program? And if you allow me, I can probably also rephrase it. Maybe how does general audience connect with UAE space programs? What are the opportunities available?
So we have different means for that. If you go to the Science Data Center website for the Emirates Mars mission, or if you go to the Mohammed Ibrahim Space Center website, which connects you to the Emirates Mars mission's also website, or even to the UAE Space Agency, all these have a different kind of means to be able to communicate and get in touch with the team at the center. and we'll be more than happy to support you. And for me, if basically you look at it from a scientific point of view or from science data point of view, the fastest way to do that is to contact us through our email, which is science@emm.ae. This is the best way to contact us if you're trying to get things that are related to the science and collaborate in that area.
Awesome, thank you. So the next question comes from Amna. Amna is asking, so they're saying, this is Amna from the UAE. Is the UAE aiming to study black holes?
So as I said, I mean, we are exploring different missions. As UAE, we always have plans for the future for more challenging missions. And as was announced recently, the grand tour of the asteroid belt, or the study of the asteroid belt and the flyby of Venus and then landing on one of the asteroids is quite challenging, and it's a big mission. But I mean, there are different things that we are looking into. I don't want to, like, we don't basically ignore or try to, like, not explore all the options that we had. So, but are we looking into that currently, more specifically about black holes? No, but that doesn't mean that something that we couldn't in the future one day, maybe.
Thank you. And the next question we have is, well, it's from Adurti. They're asking, will the Hope Mars probe 1-to-1 model be available at Expo 2020? And if not, what is something that you would recommend people to look for at Expo 2020, if you know about any scientific developments that are presented?
So if you go to a good question, I like it. If you go to actually the sustainability pavilion at the Expo, you'll be able to actually see a model of the Emirates Mars mission. It's not 1-to-1. We wanted to take the 1-to-1, but it's really big and huge. It's going to be at the IAC that's taking place in Dubai this year, the International Astronautical Congress. So that over there we'll have the 1-to-1 model. But if you go to the sustainability pavilion, you'll be able to see basically a model that of the Emirates Mars mission, and also an explanation of the mission, also with kind of a mock-up of our command and control room, which will also talk about the story and of the UAE space program over there.
Wonderful. So I guess these are all the questions that we've had, at least for now. And if anything comes up, it would be great if you would be able to type the answers after, because I know that some of the panelists are thinking about their questions and then they're typing them in a little later. But thank you very much for the presentation. It was very delightful.
Thank you, Lara.
Thank you very much, Omran. Okay, we have about 7 minutes until the next speaker, unless she wants to start early. Vera, are you ready to start your presentation a little early?
Absolutely. If everyone is ready, there's just a last question. I think if you think that we should answer, so let me know.
Absolutely, yes. There is one more question that just got asked. So if Omran, if you're still here, I would love to ask the question.
Yes.
Great. So the last question comes from Tanner. They're asking, are there any planned space missions that you can share? Can we expect a new Mars mission for the next launch window?
So I did mention, like, basically the next mission that was announced is the flyby Venus and the visit to the asteroid belt, and which will be studying 7 asteroids and landing on the last one. This is by itself is a very, very big challenge, because with Mars, you know, we have that one target that we go towards and we study, but now we're talking about 2 extremes. Venus, which is closer to the sun than Earth, and then the asteroid belt that is basically beyond Mars, so further away from the sun, and with the challenge of landing on it. So this is currently the mission that's been announced and that we're focusing on, which is going to be the focus of the UAE space program in the future. There are other things that we're looking into and studying, and will be announced at the right time once we feel that it's the correct time to how to say, launch these projects.
Thank you very much.